Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. Trying something a little bit different today. I think I promised this last week, and we couldn't do it because I couldn't figure out how to do it. But we should be simulcasting right now on Rumble live while we're broadcasting on YouTube live. And actually, the Rumble stream has the YouTube chat embedded in it. So if you're able to watch on Rumble, you'll be able to see what everyone says. I won't really be able to see if you chat because I haven't been able to figure out how to capture Rumble chat yet, but baby steps. In any case, everything seems to be working. If anybody has Rumble up, you want to go out there and check and see if it's actually doing anything. Everything appears to be working, but you know what that means. Something's wrong. How you doing, Cherry?
I'm all right. I am a bit tired, but I mean, I think that's mostly just the heat starting to get to me. It's been pretty hot lately.
Yeah, you said before the show 81.
Yeah, something like that.
It's pretty toasty.
Let me check.
I mean, for me, that would be kind of pleasant, but
it's
how you doing, Jen?
27, which is 81. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh well, I'm all right. I'm not in 81 weather, but
No,
I'm all right.
You're in cold weather. How cold? It's actually warmer here than it's been in a while. Is it still cold up north?
It's -1. I mean, overnight it'll get colder, but
-1 Celsius would be like 30 degrees Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's 56 here, and it was 61 today. It's gonna be 64 tomorrow. I'm very psyched, to be honest with you. Let's say hi to chat.
Hi, chat.
I assume YouTube is at least working because I don't see anybody in chat saying they can't hear us or anything silly like that. Keeverdam is first, and then hi Cynic, and Kashol, and Assassin of the Gray. Welcome to the show. Scrolling. Hi Mash. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody, by the way. Day late.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if you mentioned him, but Tier is also in chat with
Is he?
under the name Dr. Funkenstein's Ghost.
Okay. How you doing, Tier? Yeah, so I everything looks like it's working. I have 2 copies of OBS running. One of them is the YouTube copy, and one of them is a Rumble copy. And the backgrounds are a little different. And there's some messaging that's a little different, but it's not too different. I think what I'm going to do with Rumble is I'm going to switch Jen and Terry's position on the screen. I'm going to put Terry on top. That sounded dirty, didn't it? Got a couple of things for the show tonight to talk about if we get to them. Nippon-nookie is the first one, and that is Japan is planning to offer breeding visas to foreigners because they're having problems maintaining the number of people in their country. What's the word? What am I looking for? What's the proper term for that?
The birth rate.
Birth rate. That's right. Having problems maintaining the birth rate, like most Western countries are. I think Australia and Canada are also having issues there as well.
I think pretty much every Western country is.
Yeah.
It's just a natural result of modernization. Birth rate seems to drop.
Modernization? We can talk about that. I think it's got a lot more than just modernization to do with it, but we'll see. And then pack your bags. You guys remember last year, DeSantis sent people up to Martha's Vineyard?
I do.
That were migrants? Yeah. Well, that was a one-shot deal through Congress. What they've done instead is they introduced a bill and made it a function of the government to do that on a regular basis now. So they've got 10 million set aside for planes and buses to start sending any migrants in Florida to sanctuary cities.
Well, they want them. That's why they became sanctuary cities.
Exactly. So they got 10 million set aside, and the budget allows for an additional 12 million if they run out of the 10 million.
Well, I'm sure the sanctuary cities will be very happy at the progressive nature of this law.
They sent, what, a couple of buses to New York, and the mayor there flipped out? Dude, it's a couple of buses. You know,
and then he sent them up to Canada because the migrants were like, "This place is really dangerous. We don't like it here." And I was like, "You sent them to the worst part of Canada."
And
As though it's not dangerous up there either.
The people that were living in the kind of climate of Mexico, or even, you know, before that, wherever they came from, and they sent them to the tundras of Canada. I mean, you got to wonder if they had the appropriate attire for surviving a Canadian winter.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
You know, Can you imagine somebody from Honduras or something like that? Welcome to Canada. It's minus 23. You know, like, oh.
You don't even appreciate the scope of this, because the border that they send them to is the French one. So they're going to Quebec first. Yeah, they go to Quebec first. They get to go to Quebec first. Just so you know, Quebec doesn't like foreigners either. They don't like any foreigners. It doesn't matter what color you are. The minute you announce that you don't speak French properly and they think you're going to mooch off of them, they don't like you.
I wonder how they react to people who are from France.
If you're mooching off them, they don't like you.
Well, yeah, I mean, nobody wants to be mooched on.
No, that's kind of where they're at. They're kind of like, if you are here and you are not being productive and paying into the taxes just like the rest of us, because they pay a lot, like they pay more than the rest of us. So if they know that you aren't paying in, that's kind of, they're a little simple-minded that way. Also, don't fuck with their politics, because their politics are already fucked up. You're just making more of a mess. That's usually their thing. They're just like, hey, listen, we can't even fix it. You're not gonna.
Well, I gotta imagine that Quebec just doesn't like foreigners in general. So I mean, if I walked up there and even if I went up there as a tourist, I bet they would kind of, you know, snub their noses at me. Oh, fucking Americans, you know.
I mean, they'll be polite to you to get money, and I mean, if you're friendly, they're friendly. They're not mean. You know, nobody up here is out of their way to just be a jackass, but they're gonna think there's a good chance you might be ignorant, and that's gonna cause them to be a dick to you, because they think everybody's ignorant. Not everybody. Like, I mean, I am generalizing a little bit, because like I have a limit on how many people I've met from there, and not everybody's the same. It's the same as the US. You know, you go from different villages, and you know, people aren't all the same. But you go to Montreal and it's like Libfest, but they're French.
See, if you're an American, you go to France, they don't like you. You know, if you speak French, they'll tolerate you. But if you're an American in France, they don't really like you very much. Even though we were the reason that they're not speaking German right now. You know?
Yeah.
But,
yeah, you know.
But there's I think I've mentioned this before, Eddie Izzard, how he feels about French. Eddie Izzard's lineage is French. If you go back a couple of generations, you know, his great-great-great-grandmother and grandfather, whatever, were French. So he's great with the French, all that kind of stuff. But he does make a mockery of them a little bit in his stand-up routine. He says, you never know, you know, part of France sided with Germany, and that was all kind of like, ooh, we shouldn't do that. And he says, you know, but that's what French are like, you know. The entire world says, we're going to do this. And the French says, well, we're not gonna, because we're fucking French, you know? And it makes a big joke of it. But I got to imagine that if you're going to go to France, the best thing to do is say you're Canadian.
I've heard a lot of people actually do that.
Yeah.
It's a hit and a miss, because they're not dumb people. You know, the French particularly don't like it if you just assume they're dumb, because they're not. They've been around the planet doing their thing for a very long time. But even Canadians have burnt their bridges in some places, so that doesn't always work. It does for some people, just because we helped liberate the city. Some of our people did come from there, even though they make a joke out of that one, because they don't give a shit. There's a lot of people they left around the planet. They still don't give a shit. But it's honestly just a respect of the culture. Like, they don't really like anybody. You know, you go from anywhere you know, you talk to other people from different places. They're not really particular to anyone. They're kind of particular to themselves. Like they really like their own culture a little bit. But, you know, like you talk to somebody who's from France, who's a traveler, like say Sam is an example. He's one of our minions, and you know, he's traveled a lot. He's a military guy. You know, I've never met a friendlier dude. So
Cryptic says in chat, Hammer, I did a test on Rumble if you don't mind.
Oh, hey, Cryptic.
What does that mean? You did a test. Are we okay there? Did you
watch?
Yeah,
he donated $5.
Wait a minute.
Oh, a Rumble allows this without a view limit. So we're going to have to donate that somehow, but or put it towards the Rumble at least.
Our Rumble channel is monetized?
Yeah, apparently.
By default, it must be, yeah.
I wonder where that's going. I don't remember ever setting up a location for the money to go to. Of course, that Rumble channel's been out there for, 7 months? So it's hard for me to remember what I did 7 months ago. But I wonder if it's like being sent to my PayPal or something like that, or sent to my email address. Because when I set up that Rumble channel, I set it up with my password and with my account and my information instead of Reject using all of her stuff. Because I couldn't get a hold of her. So I just like, okay, well, I'll just put my stuff in here instead. You know, it makes no difference. We're both founders. You know, there's no difference between us. But I have to, if that's true, I'm going to have to find a way of making it so that you can't donate. I don't even know if that's possible now that I think about it. Can you unmonetize your channel?
I have no idea.
I appreciate it, Cryptic. We'll find a place to send that money.
Yeah, we'll donate it.
Yeah, the minions.
He's a minion, he knows.
Yeah, the minions doesn't accept money, so I'll have to figure out.
Yeah, because I mean, he is a minion. What is he doing? Sending it to himself?
Hey, Adam, how you doing?
You get 5 whole cents, Cryptic. You know what? If you save up another 95 cents, you'll get a whole $1, and then you could go to a dollar store and you could get not a whole item, because I don't think the dollar store sells anything for $1 anymore.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to. We specifically don't monetize the YouTube stream on purpose. So I'm gonna have to sit down and get a hold of Reject and see what we want to do. Maybe have a Sunday meeting and discuss it with all the hosts, because I didn't know that was going to do that. I appreciate it. I thank you.
It's good to test it anyway. Like, I mean, we wouldn't have known that it was connect. Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have known that. Like, what if somebody who we didn't even know, like, donated $100 or something? There's people who are crazy on the internet.
Yeah.
You know, so just so you guys know, it's not that we don't accept money. It's just there's like, what, 40, 50 of us? So there would be no distribution. We don't want arguments amongst us. So
yeah, it's the logistics. And Terry's made the point, I'll make it for him, that once you start monetizing, it becomes a job.
Yes, that is my main reason for not wanting to accept money for anything that I do on YouTube.
It's never been our policy to try to do anything on that in that direction. We don't want to get involved in money in any way, shape, or form. This is just to talk to people that we know that are in our circle and have fun and be friends. It's not meant to make money or anything like that.
The only thing I could think of is if the minions decided to do like a donation stream or something. Like, I don't know that we would necessarily do that, but like if we all went in and we're like, you know what, let's do a cancer stream. Yeah. That doesn't go to us. You know, that's something that between us and even the chat, I would suggest would be like, you know, what cancer do we want to pick on this year? You know,
I nominate internet cancer. Go donate to the corner and.
Well, there was a point at in time that we were thinking about with Rumble that you had to pay for it. When Rumble was first available, you had to pay to live stream, and we thought, well, that would be something we can put the money to. And then we also thought about a website, and that's something that would cost us money, because I still have the domain minionsofthezoo.com. I still own that. But I'm paying out of pocket, my own pocket, for that, and we don't use it. There is no website. I just have the name set aside. GoDaddy. But yeah, after discussing it on the with everybody, we decided that if a host wants to put a Streamlab link up and somebody wants to donate to Streamlab directly to that guy, that's fine. But we don't want to do super chats that go to everybody, because then you're trying to give, he gets 53 cents, he gets 53 cents, she gets 53 cents. That's just silly. So we'll figure out what to do there. I just wasn't aware of it. But thanks for bringing that to my attention, because like Terry said, if somebody donated a significant amount of money and we didn't know about it, and it just shows up in my PayPal, I'm going to be like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. And all the minions are going to be yelling at me for money. So
no, I would just suggest to you that, like, just bring it up and we'll just do a little
I'm going to do the same
meeting and donate it.
I'll just do the same thing that Scribe does. He just donates it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but St. Jude,
maybe that. Yeah. Okay.
Will's Eye. There's plenty of places out there we can send that are
yeah.
cool.
Okay.
A lot of people.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Yeah, I'm all for that.
So, good deal. Hopefully, there is a way to not monetize, because that could be a real problem going forward. Guys are just gonna troll us by donating money on our Rumble side. That'd be a nightmare. Anyway.
I think you should donate the money to Twitter and get ourselves a nice blue check mark.
Yeah, $8 a month.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, Claudia.
Yeah, leave me alone. I had to apologize to Mr. Adam a little bit, because I did watch his stream. It's just, because I had the weird day off. We hired a person, so my shifts are going to change again. That's going to be fun. And I got the Hogwarts game. And so naturally, cool. I'm going to stream it. And I did my first stream of it. I did the first, couple, hours of it. But I wanted to kind of get a grasp of it first. So I was playing it in the background while listening to him. And oh boy, is that game a trap. It's like I told Eve, I'm running around Hogsmeade and I see a bundle of sticks and I'm like, oh my God, it's my first trap. I know what that is. And I'm not going to get called out for it. And I ran by it.
Cryptic says the minions aren't about money, period. I thought it was just blood that came out, but if money comes out too, then oh my God, that is going to be very profitable to be a woman.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about this. I'm going to have to talk to Reject and have her tell me what to do. If she thinks it's appropriate, we'll get everybody in a Sunday meeting and talk about it. But I think we can just donate it, and I'll have to figure out how to turn off.
I think Green Badger has the right idea. Basically, last minion surviving gets the money.
It's funny. Well, we'll see. But I appreciate the thought. Very kind of you. I don't even have a Streamlabs of my own.
I refuse to get one.
Well, I went on Monkey in the Morning, and I got shit because I didn't have a Streamlabs. I was like, why am I getting shit for this? You're expected to be donated for being on his show. So when I didn't have a Streamlabs, he's like, you don't have a Streamlabs? And everyone was like, you get a Streamlabs. What the hell's wrong with you? I'm like, okay. Still haven't done it. I don't see a reason behind it. I don't go on Monkey in the Morning.
I think I made a Streamlabs, but I didn't attach a bank account to it. But I just did it because for a long time it was a running joke that Polly didn't know how to set up a Streamlabs. So I was just like, I'll just set one up just to be better than Polly.
See if
I never did anything with it. I just
Deco D is in chat, and Septus Wolf is in chat. Welcome, gentlemen.
See, if it was up to me for the next year, I would probably do something really sly, because I'm in so many Discords that I know a little bit of shit about people that haven't been talking about their shit. And I would donate it to Bloodwing, because he's gone through so much stuff this year in terms of medical. Like I haven't heard from him in a little bit because of the last one that he's been in. And that just means he's still in the hospital. Because, Irate Alex would scream murder if something bad happened to him. But I know the medical in the US is crazy. And that old man never says anything. He's never like, hey, I could use help. But Alex hasn't said anything either. So I'm waiting for one of the two of them to be like, hey, do you want to help donate to his GoFundMe? Because
He has a GoFundMe?
I don't know. I'm waiting for at least somebody to say something because he hasn't said anything, you know? And I don't know if his kids would do something like that. I'd actually like to talk to Jay Kidd one of these days, like set him aside, be like, hey, can we punk your dad and just pay for some of his, like, I don't think we could pay for all of it, but like if we could pay for some of it and take a load off his mind, because he's not working anymore either. But
Bloodwing was the first person on the internet that I knew of at the time that was close to my age. Everybody else is much younger than me on the internet. I mean, now that I got to know Skep Tock and Prospero, and there's people that are more my age, but he was the first person I ever met on the internet that was around my age. I think he's a little older than me, but not by much.
Oh, we're pretty close in age. It's only 18 years between us.
But he's like 2 or 3 years older than me, I think, or something along that line. So
yeah, he's had a tough time of it since he's last done most of his streams. And when he's in between his operations, I feel bad. Like I keep thinking, I should ask him if he wants to join us or something, but what's
the issue?
So I don't know entirely what it was. So I know that he's got internal stuff that he's done. I know some of it's similar to stuff that you've done. But I don't know all of it. I just know that he spent like almost half a year in the hospital because of it. And the last 2 rounds had him scared. So it's just, I don't want to.
The cancer or something?
I don't think it's cancer. I think it might be something hereditary because his dad had a bunch of problems too. I don't want to speculate on it. It's just he hasn't spoken outright on what it is. I just know that like the last 2 times he was in, the conversation he had on Discord was that he was really scared. So.
Well,
that's just how I am with my grandfathers on the internet. Like he's not my grandpa. I'm not related to the dude, but he's internet grandpa. Yeah.
Yeah, I know where he's coming from. I was at the doctor's last week. I got to go to the doctor's next week, and the problem now is COVID's got me screwed up not because I have it, but I need to get an operation, and I can't get the operation because COVID is preventing me from getting the operation. So I'm just treading water, waiting until I can get the operation because it requires a donation. I don't want to get too much into this, but it requires a donation, and COVID wiped out all the donations. So people have to start donating again.
I just don't go to the doctor. That's the secret.
Just avoid it.
That's the secret. You can't you can't get sick if you don't go to the doctor. That's how it works.
Well, I'm sick right now.
Well, then you shouldn't have gone to the doctor.
Yeah, I'm taking medication. It's stuff called vancomycin. It is an antibiotic, but I'm highly, what's the word I'm looking for? Not radioactive. I'm highly contagious.
You can't get diagnosed with anything bad if you never see a doctor.
But you can get sick, and that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That I am sick, and the worst part is that I'm not just sick, I'm contagious. So
I just don't trust doctors. Not just from the COVID thing, though that hasn't helped. Just the way my dad, his experiences with the medical system basically killed all trust I could ever possibly have with that system. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just deal with it on my own.
Well, like I said, I got an infection, so it's causing me pain, but and I'm on this vancomycin. I had to go to the doctor. Said, you're in pain. You got to go to the doctor. Something's obviously wrong. With my problems I've been having, if there's a pain, you want to go to the doctor to find out what it is, because you never know what it's going to be. Diabetes gives you a whole list of things that could be something mundane or dramatic. So I have to keep checking. And my doctors are cool. My entire medical system that I'm part of, I've only met one doctor that was a problem, but I have like 15. So, because I have all these issues everyone's a specialist nowadays, right? So got a heart doctor, and then I got a nephrologist, and, podiatrist and cardiologist, and all these ists, so, but whatever.
The fact that someone with a similar name to my father was diabetic, so they pumped my dad full of insulin. That is like not very.
It doesn't make sense. That would never. I mean, that's malpractice. Here, they don't care about that. They will check your blood sugar before they do anything to you.
Yeah, no, like let's say his name was Jim Smith. Tim Smith was diabetic, so they're like, yeah, fuck it, Jim Smith, Tim Smith, same guy.
Thing, doesn't matter. Well, they actually had this problem with me. Was I was, for a while there, my kidneys were not working well enough to sustain me, so they had me on dialysis. They didn't give me a fistula, which is a thing that they put in your arm to make the connection. They put this thing in my chest. It's called a Tessio catheter. And the prongs go from the outside of the chest directly into the heart. And I was bedridden. That's how bad I was at the time. And I was going to dialysis 3 times a week because my kidneys just weren't working. And and the doctor that was taking care of me didn't know that the nephrologist was sending me off to get dialysis. So they weren't talking to each other. So he was giving me something to lower my blood pressure. And that was all well and good. But then when you're sent off to dialysis cleans your blood and removes a certain amount of your blood. And that causes low blood pressure. So coming back from dialysis, I can't stay conscious. I keep passing out because my blood pressure is now so low because the 2 doctors weren't talking to each other.
Yeah, my dad needed pills to raise his blood pressure because it was too low after dialysis. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, even to this day, even till right now today, my blood pressure is lower than 99.9% of 60-year-old white males. 60-year-old white males are not allowed to have salt because it increases their blood pressure. It's just very typical of us. I have to eat salt. It's required by my doctor to help pump my blood pressure up.
Might I recommend Vegemite? It is an excellent source of salt and not much else.
Yeah, I know. It's basically brown salt, right? Yeah. I mean, I go to my nephrologist and they take my blood pressure and she looks at the blood pressure and she looks at me and she looks back at the blood pressure. She says, I got to do this again. She does it again. It's the same number. She's like, your blood pressure is really low. I was like, yeah, well, I just walked and it already is low and I stood for a while. These are all things that make it get lower. So give me 5 minutes sitting here and it'll normalize. And sure enough, by the time I get ready to leave, she checks it again and it's, 120 over 80 or 120 over 75 or something like that, which is pretty good. It's below, just a little bit below normal. It's 125, 130 over 80, 85-ish is the average. I'm just below it. So, but for me, compared to everybody else, that's fantastic because white males, 60 years old, they're all struggling with 200 over 120, these huge numbers, and I'm not having any of that problem. So,
well, I'll just take the heart attack. It's fine. I'm not giving up salt.
You don't want to have a heart attack. That's not fun at all.
Oh, I'm sure it isn't.
It really is. When people say it's like elephant sitting on your chest, they really mean a real elephant. They really mean 2,000 pounds. It's not just a little bit of weight. It's not like somebody put 5 books on your chest. No. It's not like that. It feels like you're going to get pushed through the bottom of the bed. It's crazy. Yeah. Don't
Well, I'm
recommend.
obviously being
Not
facetious.
recommended.
I don't actually want a heart attack. That would
No.
probably kill me.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
And be very unpleasant either way.
To be honest with you, it was painful, but I wasn't concerned for my life. I was in a hospital when it happened. It was much scarier. The stroke was much scarier. A heart attack just felt like weight, but everything else worked. The stroke, parts of you stop working. It's crazy.
The only time I've been like scared that I was going to die was I had an allergic reaction. Ooh. And at the time I thought it was to prawns, but it was actually to dust because there was a dust storm. And I went into anaphylactic shock and I thought, wow, well, this is how I die.
Yeah.
Like I legitimately, okay, well, this is how I'm going to die then.
Yeah.
And then, I didn't, but
obviously.
But I was convinced at the time. It's like, okay, well,
is it? Say goodbye to everybody. Yeah. No, I never felt like that with the heart attacks. I was in the hospital. I figured I'm right here. They could crack my chest open right here, right now. They could put me on bypass right here, right now. I'm right at the right place I got to be. But I was at home when I had the stroke, and literally, it's hard to explain this. I never wish this on anybody, but Alex probably knows. Bear probably, or not Bear. What's he now? What's he called now? What's Alex call himself? I read Alex, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's his name though. He probably can understand this, but parts of you, like for me, my right arm. Imagine standing here and you have your arm up as if you were holding something, and then you just completely relaxed it, and the arm fell next to you and just kind of swung a little bit, like it went numb. That's what my arm was like, and I could not move it. I could not. It didn't go numb. I could still feel it, but I could no longer control it.
Yeah, that'd freak me out.
It was crazy, and the circumstances before that happened was even crazier, because you don't realize what your mind does to understand the circumstances around you. It works with your eyes and your balance and your hearing, all that kind of stuff. And it puts all these things together to make the world coherent to you. But when you have a stroke, that's a problem with your brain, with your mind. So things change. Your perspective on things changes, not permanently, but for a couple of seconds, things become very weird all of a sudden. Like when this happened to me, I'm looking at my screen and my hands are on the keyboard, and I'm watching a video or something like that. And there's this flash. It's not a flash. How do I explain this? It's a yellow colored thick bolt of lightning that goes in my peripheral vision for a split second. No sound, doesn't light up the room, but there's this like yellow streak off the right-hand corner. And I get a really, 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 really strong feeling that somebody's in the room with me. And then my arm goes limp. Now tell me that doesn't freak you out. What the hell is going on? And then I was like, well, my arm is numb, or my arm is not moving. I can't move my arm. This is probably not good. This is probably a stroke, because I know what strokes are. I know what FAST is, or go fast is what they call it now. It's an acronym to tell you, to check on things, to tell you whether or not you're having a stroke. So I get up from the chair. Of course, I have to use my left arm, which is my weaker arm. And I walk into the bathroom, which is right next door to the computer room. And the right-hand side of my face is sliding off of my skull. And I go to say verbally to myself in the mirror, this doesn't look good. And it comes out, this doesn't look good. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm in trouble. So I go into my bedroom and my girlfriend's there and she's sleeping. And I wake her up and I'm talking to her and I'm trying to talk normal. And you just get up? I was like, no, I'm having a stroke. And she went from completely dead sleep to instantly wide awake.
Oh,
Never seen it before or since. And we called the ambulance. They were here in 8 minutes. And I don't live close to anybody. That ambulance driver must have been going 60 miles an hour down a 20-mile-an-hour road to get here that quick.
Jeez.
And they took my blood pressure. My blood pressure was like 210 over 120. Huge high blood pressure.
Yeah.
And I got to the hospital, 28 minutes total turnaround. And I have a Corvette. I'm not afraid of driving fast. I've been on tracks. I've driven competitively. And I'm not afraid of speed. I was scared out of my skull. This guy was going so fast in a big old fucking box truck, weaving in and out of traffic at night. I was more scared that we were going to get in an accident than I was about my health. I know, it's crazy. But yeah, between the two of them, I was a lot more scared of the stroke than I was of the heart attack. But and the funny thing was, I was on medication for my stroke longer than I was for my heart. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
You think your heart, the pump, does so much work, but they were so afraid of a blood clot hitting my brain again, like the last one, that they had me on medication to keep my blood thin for 7 months. Instead of my heart, they had me on blood pressure medication or blood thinners for 3 weeks. So pretty crazy stuff. Anyway, you still with us, Jen? Nope, she's gone.
I mean, I've been having trouble hearing because the traffic has been really loud.
Yeah, I can hear it going by.
But yeah, I don't know what's happening with Jen.
I think we lost her. Maybe she's dealing with a brother. Johnny Hellcat's here.
He is.
Our Thursday night host. Hey, Johnny. Well, why don't we get off of the subject of my health and get on to something a little bit more interesting. You have a couple topics. Do you have a preference?
I just like the idea of the breeding visas.
You're talking about Nippon-nookie. Nippon is the name that Japanese people call themselves. We call them Japanese, yes, but they call themselves Nippon.
Yeah.
I can't do it very well, but it's pretty close to that. Anyway. Yeah, because of the population problem in all the Western countries. And I think somebody in chat said like 48% of Western countries.
That was
Kiverdam. She's amazing. I think it was 48%, if I remember correctly, of Western countries are having a problem maintaining population levels. Western countries. Yeah. And was it you who said that you thought the problem was modern day convenience, or was it you who said that?
Well, modernization seems to lead to lower birth rates for whatever reason. But
things are too easy for us,
I guess. Whatever it is, I think life has gotten easy and people have gotten more selfish, because like if you look at like an African village, there's no problem with the birth rate there. Like they just, you know, they're very community minded. They very invested in producing and raising the next generation. Whereas in modernized cities, you've got Chelsea Handler putting out a video on how awesome it is that she doesn't have kids. Like that would be unspeakable in a developing nation. Is like, have kids? What's wrong with you? Whereas it's celebrated in. Okay, that was loud. It's celebrated in in Western culture to forego children and focus on your own. I mean, I'm doing that. I don't have kids. I don't want them.
Is my sound working again?
Yes, that is working again. Welcome back.
Yay! I have this thing called split cam because I was all like, one of these days I'm going to see if I could turn on my camera, which I'm not going to today. I
Thank
was
you.
just gonna, I was gonna give you a heads up that I might test it someday. But then I turned off split cam and it's like, oh, hey, do you have a microphone? But it waited like 30 minutes to do it.
Oh no.
I'm like, why?
If you turn on your camera, it's going to screw up my OBS feed.
See, I wasn't sure if it would because it would
will.
just be the avatar. Ah.
Yeah, it will.
All right.
Assassin of the Gray says, how about they make it financially easier for Western couples to have families instead of paying for foreigners to have families? In other words, bringing people in to increase our population. And I think that that's more of a fault with the Western culture, because people aren't willing to sacrifice their way of life to include children. People want to maintain what they have, how they live. They want their $10 million house and their 4 cars and their country club, and they don't want to sacrifice any of that to have a kid.
Well, that's what we were talking about on Twitter with like Claudia was saying something about kids being too expensive, and almost everyone could afford kids, but they would have to sacrifice in order to do that, and most people are unwilling to do that.
Malaysia is the poorest country on the planet. They manage to have kids. They have kids.
It's also the era that we just came from. That's not really an excuse. It's not. Like, World War II left us with parents who were scarred from that kind of shit, you know? It's understandable that we're a little bit wasteful because of it. Like, I know that was something that was passed down, parents wanting their kids to experience things they didn't get a chance to. But yeah, I grew up with stories from my parents and my grandparents too. They made sacrifices so that their kids could have a good life, and a lot of them lost their kids because of World War II.
I'm gonna have to agree with Assassin on this. I think feminism plays a huge part in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of this is feminism. It's teaching women not to have kids. Wait till you're 30, 35 and then have kids. And then women are getting to 30, 30.
Idea.
It is. And women are getting to 30, 35, 40 and then trying to have kids, and either they can't find a man willing to be a father and they become single mothers, or their bodies just won't allow them to have kids at that age. They're just having problems getting pregnant. I think it's 35 or 40, you're 95% sterile at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it ties into what Opinionated Scotsman was saying, that hookup culture and abortions are also, and like they're tied in with feminism, really.
Yeah.
But no, that is a huge problem. Is like the birth rate would obviously be much, much higher if babies were allowed to be born. Was it New York City where more black babies were aborted than born? I mean, that's obscene.
It is obscene. It's absolutely true. And you can't say that we're not giving women money for having kids. We're actually giving so much money to women who are single parents that it's more advantageous for them not to have a husband.
Yeah.
They actually get more money if they don't have a husband. We're incentivizing single mothers. It's crazy.
That is true. That is absolutely true.
Yeah. More people need to adopt. Keyword Dam's right. More people need to adopt. Materialism will exterminate us. That was what I was snickering about earlier. She's absolutely right. All these women are saying, well, I don't know if I have enough time or money to invest. Girl, give me a break.
But to be honest, what Chandler, whatever her name is, I used to call her Dragon Face because of the show that she was in. But Chelsea Handler.
Oh, Chelsea Handler.
That little TikTok that she presented was the most depressing thing I've ever seen.
That's 4 parts that you only probably saw one of the 4 parts that she put out.
Oh God, it gets worse.
There's more. It's more than just what everyone's been talking about on the thing.
It's
Lauren Chen got copies of all 4 of them and played them.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's the only person I saw who had all of the copies. Everyone just saw the one copy where it was fairly short.
There's a channel called Better Bachelor, and I think Joker, the guy who runs it, basically got it right, where he's saying she's trying to convince herself more than anyone else that it's fine that she's almost 50 and has no kids. Like
I didn't put it in the show notes because everybody covered it already.
Yeah, but like she's lonely and like realizing that she has no family and at this point can't have a family because it's like never gonna happen.
You saw you saw the video, didn't you, Jen?
Yep. I saw the clip. That's why I think it was depressing. Like what she
Everybody-
described, it didn't sound attractive. I was like,
Yeah,
lady, you're not winning your case if that's what you're going
All
for.
the things that she said that she could do, none of the stuff was real.
No,
Yeah.
You know, she
But
said that
also
she can have edibles and masturbate. Okay, that was fine. But then she got into this thing where she was shooting a gun at somebody and
she's going back in time and killing Hitler.
going back in time and killing Hitler. It's like, you didn't do that today. What the hell are you talking about?
No, but I think Joker had it right. It's like she's convincing herself because she's lonely and unloved, and rather than admit that her own terrible life choices led her to this position of deep dissatisfaction, it's like, no, well, actually, I like not having kids. Look at all the extra time I have. And it's like, well, I think the fact that you felt the need to broadcast just how okay you are with not having kids kind of gives away that it's not true.
Yeah. Johnny says Joe Coy left her. So not only did Joe Coy left her, but her gal pal, that brunette chick that was a comedian that was on her show a lot, she stepped away from Chelsea Handler too. Chelsea's kind of lost a lot of her friends.
It's,
Everybody
Matt Wolf was
recognizes.
pointing out that she had 3 chances to be a mother and she aborted all 3 of them. So
She's had 3 abortions.
yeah, she's probably regretting that as well. Is probably
He dated 50 Cent. I wonder if he was one of them. Yeah, she was on Conan. Was it Conan she was talking about? I'm pretty sure it was on Conan. And they were talking about what she did today and something like that. She said she went swimming or some odd stupid thing that she said she was doing. And Conan's Andy, I think his name is.
yeah,
The guy,
Andy Richter.
Andy said he went swimming the other day, and then she said, "Oh, so you float?" And Andy turned to her and looked down at her chest, and he says, "You don't." And everyone laughed, and he says, "Must be that cast iron heart."
Oh God.
I know, and everyone laughed. They roared. It was funny as hell. I'm not a big Conan fan, but I remember that from watching him when she was on his show. And she used to be on.
I didn't mind Conan. Of all the late night talk show hosts, he was the least obnoxious to me.
Yeah, she was on the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, and he ripped her up pretty good too. It was pretty funny.
Good.
Yeah. So I didn't really watch Conan. I didn't really, not that often. Every once in a while, I would catch it if I was awake, kind of deal. I was religious with the Late Late Show. When Craig Ferguson would go over, I fucking watched every night.
With Conan, he was on in the middle of the day over here, like.
Of course.
So I would watch like at lunchtime or like in the early afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to stay up until God knows what hour just to watch him, because if I had to watch him at like 11:30 at night to 1:30 in the morning, no, I'm not going to do that. He's not that good.
Yeah. Jen, do you have a favorite late night host?
No, not really.
No, you hate them all?
I wouldn't say hate.
Oh, you don't have any favorites? You don't like anybody? I used to love Craig Ferguson. I thought he was the best.
I haven't watched enough of Craig Ferguson, but the things I've seen him in, he's come across very well. I do like him as an actor, and
he was very proud to be an American. He wrote a book on becoming an American because he was so proud of it. He actually sat down and wrote a book on the process and his life before and his life after and everything. He got a Gadsden flag snake tattoo on his arm. I know that's like, the "Don't Tread on Me" snake from the Gadsden flag. Yeah, he got that tattooed on his arm, his forearm. He used to use it in his act. He'd have a girl, and he'd ask her if she's had a tattoo, and she would say yes or no, and he'd want to look at it. Well, I can't tell you where it is, and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of joke, funny kind of thing. And he would roll up a little bit of his sleeve and show the part of the snake. And he says, "I have a tattoo too. It goes all the way down to my pee-pee," he says.
Oh god.
I know. It's funny though. It was funny because he could say it in a Scottish accent, and it would be funny. An American says it, you're just creepy. But he used to even make fun of that. He used to say that he's glad his hair has turned a little bit of gray because when it was black, it was creepy. So, if you get a chance to watch him, I can steer you to one segment that you should watch. It'll have you cracking up. It's crazy funny.
Okay.
We'll do that for the show.
No, I remember I saw a thing on YouTube where someone basically made like a 20-minute video just talking about how awesome Craig Ferguson is.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He doesn't have nearly as strong as an accent as. Well, I don't know. I've never heard opinionated Scotsman on a stream, so I don't know how thick his Scottish accent is. But he's definitely not. He's definitely not Dankula.
Oh, Scotty. Poor Scotty.
He's more of a tailed feature kind of.
Yeah.
You can tell that he's Scottish, but it's not so strong that you can't understand. I can't understand what Dankula is saying. I have no fucking clue what he says.
I did like him a lot in the Drew Carey show. He played Drew Carey's boss.
Yeah.
And I really liked him in that.
I've never watched an episode, although he used to talk about it on the Late Late Show regularly. He used to talk about, Drew Carey actually did a week for him while Craig went on vacation. He had a little Drew Carey doll. It was funny, man. It was a funny show.
I mean, the Drew Carey show was decent. I mean, I liked it, but I mean, I'm not going to say it's must watch or anything. It's just good, for what it is. It's just another stand-up comedian who got their own sitcom.
Yeah, their own sitcom. Yeah, it's like Roseanne, or name your comedian. Technically, Joe Rogan did the same thing. He was a comedian before he got his Joe Rogan Experience show. So
he's also an actor. He's on News Radio as a character. Then he was like a host. He was
MMA?
like Fear Factor. And
he was on Fear Factor. That's right. I remember that.
He's done like everything. He's been like a sports announcer for the MMA.
Yeah.
He's a very, very multi-talented
Indian Scotsman says, "I don't know how thick my accent is either."
Of course you would. I've got no idea how thick my accent is because to me, it sounds like I don't have one.
Yeah. Well, to you, I sound like I have one, don't I? Don't I sound like I have an American accent? Right. I sound like American. I have the R, right? It's the R that throws it off, right? Everyone knows immediately as soon as I say Roger instead of Aja, So if I just took all of my words and substituted an R for an AH sound, you'd have a much harder time.
Sure.
That's basically what the difference is. And there's more, but that's basically 90% of it right there. It's just how you guys use your R's.
That's also, I think it was either Jack Gunsky or Frosted who said that the reason I get away with saying the N word on YouTube is because I can't say the hard R because when I say it, I naturally end it with an AH sound.
I can't tell Jen's Canadian at all. She never does the things. There's no boots. There's no A. There's none of the typical throwaway, stereotypical lines that would, scream, "Hey, I'm from Canada." So
that's Western Canada for you.
Yeah. So I guess
there's been times when Jen has sounded very Canadian, but
really,
generally speaking, not so much.
Yeah, I don't think I know of anybody in Canada that streams that sounds Canadian. I don't think Blind Press sounds Canadian. I don't even think Della Hayes sounds particularly. He'll use a boot from time to time just to make sure everyone knows that he's from Canada. But it's just as far as him just regularly talking, he uses the R sound, and he does all the same typical American sounds that any American would do. So I don't know anybody who actually sounds like stereotypically
very
Canadian.
much more of a Maritimes thing, or if you're lucky, you might get somebody from like Southern Ontario who'll have different accents, or if you go along the border, you'll get more like Frenchy types. And I know I'm offending people.
Assassin says he
But
can tell that you're Canadian, Jen.
Mhm.
I can't. Can you tell that she's Canadian? I'm losing my mind. Terry?
like I said, there's been times when she sounded very Canadian,
Really?
but Jen,
Where was I?
no.
Oh, I was
I
hosting
think
the
you even,
show.
no, I think you even commented on it. Like she spoke, and you even said, "Oh, you sounded very Canadian, man."
Oh, did I? Did I pick up on it?
Yeah. This
The
was, I think, this is like one of our pre or post stream conversations,
probably post
and
stream. I
and
forget
you're like,
about
"Oh
those.
wow," and like then she even said, "Yeah, I did that on purpose." So it's
Oh,
like she
okay.
was playing it up. But generally speaking, I think you both sound American, to be honest.
Oh, you gonna let him get away with that?
Um,
He just called you American. Jen,
no,
you
I
gonna let
said
him?
she sounds American.
You gonna let him
There's
get
a
away with
difference.
that?
Well, I do. I would. I hang out with
Okay.
a lot of Americans.
As long as you agree. All right.
It's when I hang out with a bunch of Brits that it confuses me because they'll try to correct my how
I
speak.
thought him telling you that you sounded Canadian was like me telling him he sounded like he was from New Zealand.
Hmm.
You're
No,
Kiwi.
no.
No, but I do think it's interesting that like what you're surrounded by determines how well you can detect this sort of thing.
Mm.
Like to me, I can pick a Kiwi accent because I'm
So can I.
surrounded by Australian accents, so I can pick up the difference quite easily.
Yes, so
But
can
for
I.
someone in America
No.
who only knows like one or two Australian/New Zealand people, I can understand why they think we sound similar.
Americans think everybody sounds like Crocodile Dundee. They don't have the sophistication of knowing the differences in the tonality and the pacing, everything. There's so much that's different between Kiwi and Australian.
Sure, but I mean, I bet a lot of Americans could tell the difference between someone from California and someone from New York.
Oh, dude, California's easy to tell apart. California, dude.
Right, but like that's
It's
my
easy
point.
to tell
If you're
apart. I can tell
surrounded
it.
by American accents, your ability to detect the variations within American accents will be greater.
I don't know if that's true because I'm surrounded by American accents, but I can tell all the American accents. You know, I can tell if you're from Boston. I can tell if you're from Texas.
That's my point. Is you're surrounded by American accents, so you can detect the variations much more acutely because you hear a lot of American accents.
Right. No one ever really hears anybody. If you're an American, you're centrist. You think that the only people who live on the planet are Americans. So when you hear somebody from Australia or New Zealand, you can't tell them apart because you never hear them. You never
like. There's a lot of
expose
people
yourself.
who can't tell the. There's a lot of people who can't tell the difference between English, Irish, and Scottish accents.
Oh my
Whereas
God.
people in Scotland, Ireland, and England would be like, how is that possible?
They're so easy to tell apart. They're so easy. Even the different versions of England. You have the posh and you have the Cockney, and there's so many different. There's so many difference. I can tell the difference between like Grimsby and Islington. They're significantly different.
Yeah, but I mean, I can pick up English accents because I watched a ton of English TV as a kid. But I can understand why someone who is not surrounded by those accents would be like, is that Scottish or English? Maybe it's Irish. Oh, I don't know. They all sound the same. Like I can understand someone not being able to pick them apart.
I think I would have problems. I'm talking about Kiever Dam says or Minnesota because Minnesota has their own accent, but what about Wales? I don't know about Wales and Ireland. I don't know if I could tell those apart. I haven't really been exposed to the Welsh accent, even though I am partially Welsh myself. I really don't know if I've ever really heard a native Welsh speaker talk, but I would imagine it sounds kind of Irish, I'm guessing, because my great grandfather on my father's side my grandfather on my father's side was Welsh. He was Irish. The grandfather on my grandmother on my father's side was Irish. So I'm quarter Irish, quarter Welsh from those guys. Time for me to take my medication. It's 10 o'clock. So I've never really been exposed to the Welsh accent, so I don't know it. I could tell you that it's not American, but I don't know if I could tell you where it's from.
Yeah.
Whereas I could tell you where Scottish and Australian and most of the places in England, I can tell you where those accents came from.
I mean, truthfully, the only famous Welshman I know of is Terry Jones from Monty Python.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a lot of experience with Welsh accents. So
I can tell German. Das ist to tell German. But yeah, I that's something I should probably do. Write myself a little note about that, to find somebody who's a native Welsh speaker, or somebody who's on YouTube, who's from Wales, and listen to one of their videos, so I can get used to the difference in the sounds as opposed to other languages in the area. See if I can learn how to tell them apart. That'd be important to do. It is 10 o'clock, and Jack is already here, right? Jack's already here, right?
Oh, he's been here for a while.
Been here? Is he still here? Jack, are you still here? It's gonna take him a while to understand that I'm looking for him. Did you guys want to quickly cover Thantis, or do you have something else that you wanted to talk about specifically, or you just wanted to get out of here?
I don't care. I don't know that much about.
Jen, how are you on time? You want to get out of here?
I could go a little longer if you want.
You can go longer. You want to talk about DeSantis?
Sure.
Okay. Well, that was the second topic we had. We can cover it real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but or did we already cover DeSantis, didn't we?
Briefly, yeah.
Briefly?
But
basically, DeSantis has decided that he's going to send all the migrants from Florida to other sanctuary cities, and he signed a bill recently. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but recently, last couple of days, and dedicated money to doing it. So it looks like he's going to start sending them. I hope he sends everybody to New York.
That would be funny.
Because that mayor already there is already crying like a little baby as it is. Just start sending busloads and busloads and busloads and just totally ruin his entire life. He's got to do that. And more to Martha's Vineyard as well. Put him right outside Kamala's doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
Got to do that. Let me read chat real quick. With the
It's
Wales,
fascinating
these
saying
summer
Terry
people
Gilliam is
from
the
the north.
only American of Monty Python. He also did the cartoons. I mean, yeah, but I was talking about Terry Jones. Terry Jones is the Welshman.
Yeah, it doesn't people in Northwest Wales at least sound similar to people from the northwest of England? You're much closer than we are, so I'm gonna bow to your knowledge on this. And I'm gonna make the assumption that because you're close by, you know all the accents of the general area. So, there was a British show called Gavin and Stacey that had a lot of Welsh people in it. Gavin.
Now that he mentions it, I think Rob Brydon is another famous Welsh person. Rob Brydon. The only thing I really know him from is he hosts Would I Lie to You, and he was also like an occasional guest on QI.
Sorry. Gavin, is that a YouTube channel, Gavin and Stacey?
No. It's like a sitcom. It's a British TV show.
I'm not gonna be able to get it here. I'm gonna have to figure a way of VPNing into Great Britain and see if I can figure out a way of getting into their broadcast systems to watch it. But I was thinking about somebody on YouTube so that I can watch it at my leisure and just find a couple of Welsh YouTubers and just watch them, because
you might be able to find episodes of Gavin and Stacey on YouTube or
really?
Daily Motion or whatever.
Daily Motion, your go-to video streaming channel.
Yeah. Like I said, I wanted to watch the Ninja Turtles and I thought it was going to be difficult, but Daily Motion, there's an account that's uploaded every single episode. It's like, okay, this makes my life a lot easier.
Jeez.
You can't do that on YouTube, incidentally. Don't try and have your
own.
You can't do anything. Episodes of Ninja Turtles YouTube channel. It will get taken down.
You can't do anything on YouTube. YouTube's awful.
I don't think they'll even let you upload it. They'll flag.
They'll stop you on the upload. You'll upload 10% of it, and they'll freeze the upload and ban you from the platform.
Yeah.
When are we going to get back to the days of the Wild West? Of course, that's actually something that was in the news. There's a lawsuit going on right now. Somebody's suing Google, saying that them moderating people on YouTube is against the First Amendment.
It's not really.
It's not really, but what they're saying is Section 230, the way that Section 230 is worded, that they may have a case because 230 is worded so poorly that they might have a case because of it, that they're going to have to rewrite Section 230. It was on Philly D today. He was talking about it. He was talking about how Section 230 is written so poorly that the major platforms can decide on how they want to use 230 to protect themselves. Like they get the option of moderating their platform, but Section 230 says if you moderate the platform, then you're a publisher. So then they say, well, we're not a publisher, we're a platform. But if you're a platform, you're not allowed to moderate, but they do moderate. So there's some problem there with Section 230, and that's what the lawsuit's about. So he might have a case because they're saying that the Supreme Court could look into this.
Okay.
So
I mean, hopefully they can sort it all out so that the protections of 230 are preserved while fixing the wording.
well, I think that major platforms have to make up their mind. Either they're a platform or a publisher. They can't play fast and loose with the rules back and forth. If you're a platform, you are not allowed to moderate. End of story.
Right.
If you're a publisher, then you're required to moderate. And if you don't moderate properly, you get sued for not moderating. Yes. So they have to make it one way or the other. You can't have this best of both worlds bullshit. Have your cake and eat it too. You gotta be one or the other. And that's where I think they should straighten out the wording in Section 230. I think companies have to, if they're going to be a platform on the internet, they have to declare which one they're going to be. Are we a publisher or are we a platform? And they're not allowed to switch. Pick one, and that's it.
Yeah,
my opinion.
I think most of them would end up being publishers under that distinction.
I would hope so. Because if they're publishing and they're taking care of pulling down things that are actually bad, then that's fine. Because I don't think the Wild West and just being a platform and just saying, here, have at it, I don't think you're going to end up with something good.
I mean, I think I have some sort of sympathy for wanting to moderate certain content. Like I obviously the heavily biased nature of the actual moderating is not good, but I can understand like Gab doesn't want you talking about sports. It's like, okay, look, I think it's insane, but if you want a sports-free platform or publisher or whatever you want to call it, absolutely, Gab has the right to say these are the terms of service.
Then they can't be a platform. Then they have to be a moderator. Then
talk about sports.
Yeah, if they're going to make those rules, they have to be a moderator. Then they can't be a platform anymore. Yeah,
but I've got no problem with them making terms of service, even if the terms themselves seem insane. You agree to them when you sign up to the service, so I've got no problem with that.
All you're doing is giving other companies the opportunity to do things that you're not doing. So if you say on Gab you're not allowed to talk about sports, you're going to find somebody who's going to come out with a platform called Sportsnet, where all they do is talk about sports, and they're going to have a huge following, and people are going to pay money there instead of paying it to Gab. Gab's just hurting itself. And the deal with YouTube is, I think they should just not allow things that are illegal.
Yeah, that would be
so no harassment, no attempts at murder, no fighting language, no pedo shit, no anything that's illegal. No, I think if you're going to be a platform, anything illegal should be fine. After that, I don't know.
I don't even have a problem with like them taking down copyright infringement, which is, I mean, illegal.
No, that's fine.
Like if I upload an entire episode of the Ninja Turtles, no commentary, no fair use, just here's someone else's copyright material on my channel, I've got no problem with them saying, no, you can't do that.
What do you think, Jen? I haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, I got no problems with it.
As long as they don't try to change their rules on the fly or not publish rules and cancel you for rules that they haven't published. That's the problem with YouTube right now.
I think any rule changes should not be retroactively enforced. I think if they change the rules, it should be from this point forward.
Grandfathered.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would certainly have saved us a strike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you change the rules to say you're no longer allowed to use the word hello, you can't then go back and, criticize, punish everyone who said hello in their introduction prior to that rule taking effect. Because,
our government has done that before because bump stocks used to be legal.
Mhm.
Now they're illegal. And if you had a bump stock, you had to get rid of it or turn it in or destroy it or whatever. And now, I think it's 30 days. They just passed a law. The ATF just passed an amendment to their documentation that pistol braces are now illegal. So if you bought and paid for a pistol brace and you own one, you have to turn it in or destroy it, or pay. I think it's something like $250,000 fine and 5 years in prison if you have one.
that's insane.
Yeah. That's going to be challenged in court.
I would hope so.
That's going to go right to the Supreme Court, and that's going to be overturned.
Yeah, I should hope so.
Well, you guys don't have to worry about this. This is just an American thing. So
No, but just as a matter of principle, I would hope that they challenge this and get rid of it.
Assassin says 120 days for pistol braces. I thought it was just 30 days. I was watching it because, Matt Christensen's a gun guy, and he mentioned on his stream Sunday. I thought it was 30 days, but it's 120 days. So
Can you imagine how straight your teeth would be after using the pistol braces, though?
a lot of people are going to be having boating accidents, I'll tell you that.
What a shame. All my guns fell overboard.
Fell overboard. They're in the water somewhere. I don't know where. I don't remember which lake I was on. Well, it is 1:15. I'm going to get out of here. Unless you guys got something else.
I'm good.
All right. Well, the outro has changed because we're no longer worried about subscribing to Rumble. All that lather that I used to tell you about subscribing to Rumble. Don't have that anymore. I take it out before I started the show today. So we'll start at the top. Thanks, fam, as always, for chatting with us tonight. We had a very active chat tonight. That was awesome. You guys can't wait for the next Wednesday show. Remember, the Minions are live every evening, including weekends, with most shows starting around 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Host and start times are listed in the description down below. We'll be back. I'm going to have to change that word. We will be back. I screw it up every time. Next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
I get to laugh because it wasn't me. Bye, guys.